So let's talk about science for a minute. So, we've been told that we can be anything we want to be in life and everything like that. But there are limitations on that, and I talked about some of that in my other video. This one is going to focus on something completely different, but it still ties in a little bit. When we think of people, we think that there are generally two types of people. We think that there's either smart people or dumb people, and that's pretty much it. There's two categories of people. There's smart people and there's dumb people. So, generally, smart people could be called Einsteins, right? Because Albert Einstein is generally regarded as the smartest man ever to live. They even have a TV show for kids called Little Einsteins. We teach them that Einstein is amazingly intelligent, and that you want to be like Einstein if you're smart. Einstein's the guy you want to be like. But let's delve into a little bit of science for a second. So, scientific tests and studies are conducted to get results. And so they conduct these studies and tests multiple times. Many times, actually. Nothing is ever a one test and done. Any scientific test that's worth its weight at all is done multiple times. They have multiple instances. Otherwise, it's just not a very reputable or accurate test. So, that's why they have, like in studies and things like that, they have multiple people who are tested. So when they go to, let's say, try a new product, okay, they need 500 testers to test out the product and see how it works. Let's say it's a pharmaceutical drug. We need 500 people to test out new weight loss in a can, whatever, right? Why don't they need just one person? Because the results can vary, right? Nothing is guaranteed. There's no such thing as 100% in science, ever. Nothing is 100% because there's always an anomaly that exists. Always. Let's say you take a coin and you flick the coin in the air. And you say, well, the chances that this coin is going to land standing face up and balance itself perfectly is really small. Extremely small of a chance. Probably as small of a chance as hitting the lottery. Right? But there's a chance it could happen. But there's also a few different outcomes that could happen too. You could flip the coin up and a bird could eat it. Honestly. You could flip the coin up and it could get stuck to the ceiling. You can flip the coin up and it land heads. It could land tails. It could bounce. It could roll away. There's a lot of different things involved. And that's like that for every area of science. There's no area of science where they just say one result is enough. Those general tests that they say, we tested one time, are generally regarded as bunk and not real good proof of anything. Right? You need to say that, I've tested this theory 1,000 times and these are my results, and the majority of the time this is the answer, so this must mean what I was going for. Well, let's talk about what the definition of insanity is. So, Albert Einstein is quoted as saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Well, isn't that a little bit contradictory? Because scientific experiment is all about doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Because there's going to be different results. If the definition of insanity is doing it over and over again, expecting different results, then every time a scientific experiment was studied, you would only need to do it once. There would never be any other results. That coin would always land on heads. There would never be a possibility it could land on tails. So, my thought is, and this is curious enough, is that if Albert Einstein, the smartest man to have ever lived, supposedly, decides that the definition of insanity is expecting different results, yet he does that in his daily work when he was alive, then is Albert Einstein calling himself insane? Calling the scientific community insane? Calling anyone who learns insane? Because as a human race, we know that we do things multiple times and get multiple outcomes. It's like that every time. Nobody learns permanently. You know, they say that addiction can be defined simply sometimes as getting a negative consequence from something yet still doing it anyways. So I was told this example. If a man has sex and he gets an STD, the first time he's ever had sex, he'll laugh it off and say, well, that's terrible, that's crappy, that was horrible to have happen. 10 years later, he has sex again, and he gets another STD. He can probably say, wow, that's a strange coincidence. Man, my luck sucks. Third time he has sex, let's say 5 years later, he gets an STD. He's like, damn, man, wow. Does everybody have an STD I'm gonna get? That's really terrible. I'm not sure I'm gonna continue to do this. He does it again for the fourth time, and he gets an STD. He should assume that he's going to get an STD again. And if he still continues forth to have sex again, then he's technically considered addicted. He's addicted to having sex because he doesn't care about the negative consequence. So, we see that redundancy in life in all kinds of areas where we do the same thing over expecting different results. The problem is that there's always gonna be different results and always an anomaly. Science is never 100% certain on anything. The closest you'll ever get is 99.9%, because there's that one small anomaly that will happen. So when Albert Einstein says the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results, is that an accurate statement? Is that an accurate definition? And while we have our children and the young people of the world look up to Albert Einstein as a smart figure, as a smart person, as someone who knows, someone who you want to aspire to be like, and with these cartoons and other things like that, the children watch and learn from, and it's called Little Einsteins, are we really saying little buffoons? Little idiots? Are we really saying little almost okay? Little almost good? You know, perhaps we shouldn't put these labelings on people with his name, because we put this expectation on this guy that he's the all-knowing, all-masterful, all-powerful guy that ever lived. At the end of the day, he still died. If he was so smart, why didn't he continue to live? Why didn't he magically science his way to eternal life? You know, at the end of the day, his brain's cut up in the slideshows and things like that for people to study. Yet one of the basic fundamental quotes he's ever made is inaccurate. Is wrong, in my opinion. Now, some people may argue this point. Some people may not. This may be a revelation to you that you've never thought of. But I ask you, was Albert Einstein really as smart as he says he was? Was he really a troll? Perhaps he was a master of disinformation. Perhaps it was all a facade, and he was really trying to get you to think of something more, like I'm doing now. Where I'm saying, okay, well, that's weird that this guy supposedly so smart completely contradicts his entire work of his entire life in one quote, and says that his entire life is insane and insanity and meaningless. Who knows? That's for you to decide.